You landed the promotion or dream job. Now what? Dana's palms were drenched in sweat as she gripped the steering wheel, staring at the towering glass building in front of her. She had been sitting there for 10 minutes, her coffee untouched in the cup holder, getting colder and colder by the minute. This is it, she muttered under her breath. Day one. No turning back now. Her phone buzzed. Maya's name popped up. She answered, grateful for the distraction. How are you holding up? Maya asked, her voice warm, but edged with a little bit of concern. Like I'm about to walk into a gladiator ring without any armor, Dana shot back, trying to laugh, but feeling her chest tighten. Maya, they're expecting me to be this superhero director who knows everything. But what if they figure out that I'm just winging it? They won't, Maya said firmly. You earned this. You're ready. Dana leaned her head back against the seat, closing her eyes. Am I, though? Or did I just trick them into thinking I am? The truth was, Dana hadn't felt ready since that meeting 3 months ago, the one where her old boss, Greg, had crushed her like a bug. You're just not there yet, he said, when she pitched her idea for the company's biggest project of the year. I need someone with a little bit more visibility. You understand. Ugh, visibility. The word had burned like acid. Dana had poured years into that place, worked harder, stayed later, taken on projects no one else wanted. And when she finally reached for something big, denied. That night, she'd gone home, opened her laptop, and started applying for jobs. And now, here she is, a director of strategic operations. Her name was on the door, her salary had doubled, her LinkedIn was blowing up. On paper, she'd won. But walking into that office, her stomach churned. James, her new assistant, greeted her with a smile that felt almost too bright. Morning, Dana. Got your coffee order just right. Iced latte, half sweet. Thanks, Dana said, clutching the cup like it was a lifeline. Oh, and Graham wants to meet before the 9 a.m. strategy session, James added. Graham? The CEO? Dana froze. The strategy session? Yeah, James said, oblivious. He said he's excited to hear your take. He wants to see your vision. Vision? Dana could feel the heat and her neck and face starting to get red. No one had mentioned anything about presenting her vision. Sure enough, once Dana finally got security access and her laptop set up, she checked her email to discover a new message from her new boss. Subject, tomorrow. Message, can't wait for your board presentation. Let's show them what you got. Her stomach dropped. She opened her calendar and saw a 9 a.m. presentation to the board of directors for tomorrow. Her heart pounded. She hadn't prepped anything. She didn't even know what they wanted to see. Let's fast forward to the boardroom. It was like a Shark Tank. Senior executives in crisp suits filled the seats, flipping through documents Dana hadn't even seen before. Graham waved her over to the chair beside him. Hey, Dana, he said, we're so thrilled to have you here. Big things ahead. Let's hear what you've got. Her mind blanked completely. She tried to steady her breathing. Well, I think all eyes were on her. Her throat felt like it was closing. She managed to mutter a few sentences that even she didn't believe, but the energy in the room had already started to shift. There were polite nods. The chief technology officer leaned over to whisper something to one of the board members, and both shared kind of a light chuckle. Someone picked up their phone to send an obvious text to another person in the room. And by the time the meeting ended, Dana felt like she had just flunked an exam she didn't even know she was taking. Back at her desk, Dana couldn't help but stare at the Like a Boss paperweight that she bought for her new desk. Maya's voice echoed in her head. You earned this. You're ready. But the doubt screamed so much louder. What if they figure out you're a fraud? She started to spiral into a sea of despair and negative thinking. The only thing that could fix this is Instagram. She picked up her phone and she started scrolling through the videos and the quotes and the memes. And with each quote, she felt worse and worse. It should have been an exciting day. Instead, she's completely overwhelmed. Have you ever been in a situation where deep inside you wonder, what if they find out that I'm not as good as they think I am? You work your butt off, you climb the ladder, and finally get the role that you thought was going to make everything click. A title that you've worked years for, an office with your name on the door, and a paycheck that finally feels fair for what you bring to the table. But then, day one hits, and you're already in over your head. If you've ever felt like Dana, terrified that they're going to figure out that you're not as good as they think you are, you're not alone. I'm Dr. Heather Walker. I help new leaders step into their roles with confidence, clarity, and the skills that they need to thrive, because no one should feel like Dana on their first day. And if you want help for yourself or the leaders on your team, I want you to reach out to me after the show. Dana's situation frustrates me because it's so avoidable. Dana's walking into this big role with zero preparation. No one told her what's expected or gave her anything to work with. It's like, congrats on the new job, now just figure it out. And she's scared. She's scared of showing weakness. She's scared that if she shows up and even asks, hey, what are they expecting? Can we talk through this? It's going to make her look like she doesn't belong. So instead, she keeps quiet. And now she's stuck dealing with all of this on her own and trying to figure this out on her own. And the CEO wants her to come in with this amazing vision on day one. And by day two, she's supposed to wow the board, which is insane. It's pretty common, though, to come into a director level or a VP level position with people expecting you to figure things out or to ask for what you need. There isn't always some special training or orientation. In fact, oftentimes there isn't a formal program for you. In Dana's case, she's terrified that someone's going to see through her and realize that she's not as good as they think. And if she isn't sure of herself coming in, she may confuse what she's feeling with a systems problem, right? She may confuse a systems problem with her own personal failure. The system is actually set up to produce this sense of panic in her case. That's how her new company seems to operate. They push people into roles and they just expect magic to happen. Her first days could have been about setting the tone. It could have been about connecting with her team and getting clear on goals, figuring out the lay of the land, right? But instead, she's in survival mode. She's just trying to keep her head above water. And that's not on her. That's actually on her manager. And if this keeps up, she's going to burn out fast. And then what? What then? She loses confidence. The company might lose another good employee who could have done a lot of good there. And everyone's back at square one. All because they couldn't take a little time to help her get set up right from the start. And what Dana didn't realize, and what so many new leaders miss, is that you can't lead effectively in isolation. Leadership isn't about managing down. That's not it. You also need to expand your perspective And the best way to do that is to expand your network. Before you throw up a little bit in your mouth or click away, I want you to hear me out on this. When you join a new company or you take on a bigger role, it's so easy to stay in your bubble. You focus on just doing your job, doing a good job, proving yourself, hoping that no one notices that you're still figuring it all out. But if you're not careful, you can find yourself feeling isolated because you miss the window of opportunity to get to know your peers. I'm talking about other department heads, people who don't report to you, but your team supports them or their team supports yours in some way. And people who could be very helpful to you one day. I'm talking about admins, coordinators, technicians. Yes, they are important to incorporate into your network. I want you to take this so seriously, like it's your job. If you do, you're going to learn the business faster. People will see you work and they'll see your work, right? And they'll become advocates for you. And they may even open doors to other opportunities for you. They could also be your boss one day or sit on your team one day. So the sooner you start building connections, the better off you'll be. Whether it's a mentor, a peer, or someone in a totally different part of the business, your network is your safety net. I cannot say that enough. So if you're stepping into a new role, don't just focus on what you need to do, focus on who you need to know. Now, if you're a new leader and you want to avoid isolating yourself and you aren't sure how, this is where boundary spanning comes in. It's a powerful leadership strategy that can help you build a network of supportive relationships. And guess what? It's easier than you might think. Boundary spanning is all about reaching beyond your immediate team, beyond your department, or even your organization to build up relationships that give you a broader perspective. People who can support you, people who can help you with opportunities to grow. And the concept comes from the Center for Creative Leadership. And it's a great way to think about how you can set yourself up for success. So I'm going to focus on the first step, mapping your boundaries. It's so simple, but it's so powerful once you see all of the players in front of you. If you were stepping into a new role, here is the first thing that I would actually do. And I want to encourage you to try this too. So you want to start with one question. Who do I need to know to succeed here? I want you to think about that for a second. Not just the people you'll be working with directly, but the ones who can give you perspective, guidance, insight, the people who can make your work smoother, a little bit more meaningful, more visible, right? Break it down into categories. And here's how I'd start mapping out who I need to know. You can do this with me, and I want you to do this with me. Go ahead and get out a piece of paper. Yes. And I want you to draw 5 circles on it, okay? So in the first circle, yes, I want you to write in decision makers, okay? Who's making the big calls? Maybe it's your direct boss, your senior leaders in your company, key stakeholders for the projects that you're working on. You want to understand their priorities and how your work connects to what matters most to them. In the next box, I want you to write in the collaborators, okay? Who will you work with pretty consistently? These are your teammates, your peers in other departments, or cross-functional partners. They're going to give you insight into the day-to-day. They're going to help you solve problems. They are going to potentially advocate for resources with you. They can be huge partners, so don't sleep on your collaborators. On the third circle, I want you to write in the connectors, okay? Connectors. Who seems to know everyone and everything And they understand where the bodies are buried. They know what's going on in the company. They've got the news. They've got the scoop. Who can get you plugged in to the gossip train? Every company, every organization has these people. They're not always the highest ranking people, but they know the ins and outs of how things work and who you need to talk to. All right. In the next circle, I want you to write guides. Okay. Guides. Guides. Who's been here a while? Who can show you the ropes? This could be someone in a similar role that you have, or it could be someone who's a little bit more of a seasoned pro, someone who can give you context about the company's culture and unwritten rules. And then in that last circle, I want you to write future allies, okay? Future allies. Who might be a good person to know later? Think about potential mentors, people in areas that you're curious about, or maybe even someone whose job looks like where you want to be in a few years. Start paying attention to that. And now you're going to add names. Or if you don't have names, start adding in job titles and roles that come to mind for each of those categories. Don't overthink it. You're just brainstorming at this point. Here's an example for someone who might be stepping into a director of operations role. Decision makers. We've got my boss, the CEO, the director of strategy. Who might be collaborators? We've got the marketing lead, the ops manager, the tech team lead. Who are our connectors? That guy over there that everyone in the office jokes about knowing everything. For some reason, he's always getting donuts, but he's the plug. He's got the information. Under guides, someone who's been in the role before or who's been at the company for at least 10 years. And then future allies, maybe the head of HR or the VP of innovation, right? Head of HR, great ally when you're trying to figure out, okay, who do I need on my team? How can I support them? How can I develop them? How can I help them grow? And when it's time for promotions, I want the head of HR there to help me figure out how to navigate that so that I can support my team and build a leadership pipeline. Because at the end of the day, you want to leave a legacy too. VP of innovation is a great person as a future ally because you come with ideas, creativity, so many gifts, and you want someone like that to know who you are. So once you have your names, think about how you're going to connect with them. For each person or role that you've listed, ask yourself, how can I introduce myself or get on their radar? Are there meetings, projects, or maybe even events where I can naturally connect with them? And what do I want to learn from them? Let's not just make it one-sided, but also I'm here to learn and grow. What do I want to learn from them? And then take action. I want you to, this week, to pick one or two people to connect with. Ask them to grab some coffee, send an email, ask them for some input on a situation. Don't underestimate the power of levity either. A little humor can go a long, long way to just making you seem more relatable, more approachable, right? So if I were in your shoes, this is exactly where I'd start. I'd start with mapping my boundaries. It's simple, it's powerful, and because you are human after all, and the people that you work with are human too, they are going to want to get to know you. So make it easy. Make it easy to do that. At the end of the day, you want people to want to work with you. Trust me on that. So I want to close today with a word of encouragement for you, especially if you're feeling really shaky in your job right now. A word of encouragement for you. You didn't land your role by accident. Someone saw your potential, your ability to learn and grow. You weren't hired to know everything. You were hired to figure things out, okay? It's normal to feel like you're in over your head sometimes. That knot in your stomach, that discomfort that you feel, it's not a sign that you don't belong. It's a sign that you're growing. You don't do what you do because you want to be comfortable. You do what you do because you want to make an impact. You want to leave a dent on this world. Trust that you have what it takes to learn along the way and to rise to the occasion. Remember, you are not here by accident. Think about all of those late nights, the tough projects, the lessons that you've learned along the way. Those experiences have built the foundation for this moment. Every step that you've taken has brought you to this moment, this point in your life. And everyone has moments of doubt. Even the people who seem like they have it all together, even myself. You're not alone in feeling this way. It's just that nobody talks about it. The next time you start to doubt yourself, I want you to remember no one is as confident as they seem. And you might just be comparing what you feel on the inside to what they're projecting on the outside. You don't have to fake it until you make it. You don't need to pretend that you have all the answers. Focus on being curious, on asking good questions and building relationships. There are so many answers, so much support waiting for you in this new community. So don't let self-doubt silence a voice that deserves to be heard. Even if you don't feel ready, your perspective really is valuable. Your voice matters. Your unique experiences and insights are exactly what your team or organization needs. Don't let fear keep you from contributing. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. If this resonated with you, I want you to make sure to subscribe because we'll keep tackling these challenges together. And if you have a specific challenge that you want me to address on one of these episodes, I want you to go to leadwithlevity.com/podcast. I'll have a form there for you to go ahead and post your story, your question, or your situation. And if you're on Instagram, I want you to follow the Lead with Levity page for behind-the-scenes content, tips, and inspiration to help you keep moving forward. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lead with Levity podcast. To get resources mentioned in this episode and find out what we're all about, check us out at leadwithlevity.com.